They was like, ain't nobody coming up in here. Ain't nobody taking no pictures up in here. Da, da, da. What you talking about, man? What you talking? They walking up. What's going on, guys? It's your man, Ed Hayes, the wholesale coach here, back for another video. And in this video, I want to talk to you all about the story that I've referenced sometimes on the channel about how I closed my very first wholesale real estate deal. So without further ado, let's go ahead. Let's get into it.
With me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ay, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a...
All right, guys. So for this story, we've got to go all the way back to 2016, guys. I was actually working as a certified nursing assistant, a CNA, like literally going to work at 5 o'clock in the morning to go wipe butts every day. It was demoralizing, y'all. Like I really had to get myself out that situation. So I'm literally at home on YouTube, probably like a lot of you guys who watching this video, literally searching things like how to make $5,000 fast, how to make $10,000 fast. So the next day on YouTube, I end up getting fed a video about wholesaling, right? So I end up checking it out. It was a black guy. I'm like, oh, damn, you know, like black people out here doing this stuff. I can do this too, you know? So, you know, I started really diving into the YouTube videos, good old YouTube University, just taking in all of that good information. So, you know, I end up, long story short, like a few days into me finding out about wholesaling, I end up hiring on a coach off of Craigslist. Now, this was a bad idea right off the rip, right? So, but I ended up hiring on this lady. I met her in person. I paid her $100 to be my wholesale real estate coach. Now, as we got into the journey, you know, long story short, I ended up having to get rid of that wholesale real estate coach because they just weren't there for me. Like I was getting burned by attorneys or getting grilled by attorneys on phone calls and stuff. And my coach was supposed to be there and they weren't. So got him. They kind of left me in limbo, and long story short, I had to end up getting rid of them before I even got that first deal closed. Now, on the process of getting that first deal, so basically what happened was this, you know, I was putting out marketing, you know, I was trying to hire on cold callers and all of this stuff because that's what I was learning online and whatnot. And, you know, I was like 17 days into working for this lady, and she ended up unfortunately passing away. And I had left my job on bad terms to go work for this lady. Like that asked me to be her at-home caregiver, basically at the last place that I was working. She asked me if I would be her at-home caregiver. I said yes. She was going to pay me more money under the table than what I was getting paid at my job. So I gladly agreed. You know what I'm saying?
Let's go.
But then she ended up passing away like 17 days into me working for her. So at this point, it was like, look, you're either going to get this wholesale deal or you're literally going to be homeless. And it wasn't even just me. It was me and my now wife and daughter who, like, you know, if I didn't get this money, then we were literally going to be homeless. I was the only breadwinner at that time. So long story short, you know, I'm making phone calls, I'm reaching out to people, I'm doing all of this stuff that they tell you to do on YouTube University, right? Well, long story short, I ended up putting up some Google ads, y'all. So I had some previous experience with using Google ads from working with small business owners to be able to kind of build out their online presences for them. So I'm like, all right, let me, you know, I just threw some Google ads up or whatever. I was doing $8 a day Google ads. And long story short, about like, I think it was like 6, 7, 8 days into me running these Google ads, I ended up getting my very first phone call from my Google ads. So on this phone call, this person calls me. He's like, yeah, man, you know, I see y'all buy buildings, that's and this and that, You know, he sounds all gangster and whatnot, right? So I was like, okay, you know what I'm saying? You know, so, you know, I'm putting on my hood voice and stuff like that or whatever, and kind of, you know, relating to him, building up that rapport with him and whatnot. And long story short, I was like, man, you know, how did you hear about me? He was like, I search people who buy buildings in Chicago on Google. I'm like, bang. So long story short, I did end up going into my analytics on Google and actually saw that he had actually searched people who buy buildings in Chicago. But so this deal was crazy though, y'all. Like, so this dude tells me that he like, look, I just got out the pen. You know, I just did 10 years. I'm like, oh, snaps. You know what I'm saying? So long story short, he tells me that the property Basically, his father had passed away and the property was in probate. So he was working with an attorney to actually try to get the property transferred over legally into his name. However, there were people that were actually living at the property. There was basically squatters there. However, these people knew him and they were saying that they were owed right to the property, basically. So basically it was like a stepson who was actually living at the property as well. And it was just like a crazy situation. And these people were apparently like gangbangers or drug dealers, something like that themselves as well. So I'm taking all of this stuff and I'm like, hey, look, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, right? So tell me why, y'all. Like, thank God I actually brought some people with me, but I end up going out to the property to get some pics and video of the inside of the property. Bad idea, y'all. So, so I walk up to this property. I got my camera with me and whatnot. We got this nice little digital camera. I'm walking up. It's two dudes standing outside. They like, man, what's up? Da 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 da. I'm like, man, I need to take some pictures of the crib. Da 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 da. We're gonna be buying it. Something around those lines. They was like, ain't nobody coming up in here. Ain't nobody taking no pictures up in here. Da da da. What you talking about, man? What you talking? They walking up, looking like they was about to beat me up, y'all. So thank God I had my brother there with me. So like I didn't end up actually getting into any real life situations, but they looked like they would have stumped me out and probably tried to rob me had I was just been there by myself. Let's put it like that. So I wasn't able to actually get inside of the property and see it. Obviously, these people had a problem with the guy even trying to sell the property, and these were like all hood dudes or whatever. So I'm like, look, I don't know what I've gotten myself into, but I'm gonna try to make it happen, right? So for all of my Chicago people, this property was out in the West Pullman area in Chicago, just for the record. Now, so long story short or whatever,
one eternity later.
I'm communicating with the seller. They end up like kind of getting things situated to actually get the people out of the property. Long story short. So they talk to their attorneys. They end up serving these people eviction papers. They was going through the court processes to actually get the property into his name and things like that. They finally got it taken care of. Now, this is another crazy part. I end up bringing a buyer over to this property, and long story short, him and the seller ended up talking to each other as well. So that was like a whole nother situation because the buyer was actually trying to cut me out of the deal. So thank God that this was actually like a cool seller or whatever. He was a cool dude or whatever. He was always kind of giving me a hard time, I'm not gonna lie, but he was cool enough to be loyal to me. Since I had built up that rapport with him, he still ended up going with me on the deal. So we end up getting everything taken care of. I found a buyer for the deal. And so basically I ended up finding a buyer by literally just posted it on places like Facebook, Craigslist, calling some personal buyers that I already had spoken to, like before I actually kind of dove out into the space. And like we ended up getting it sold. I ended up finding a buyer for it or whatever. It took like a couple weeks for it to actually close. But like overall, it took me about 2 months total from start to finish to actually get this property closed, y'all. But I ended up earning $8,000 on my very first deal, and I just never looked back, man. So in fact, that was twice as much money as I would have made literally wiping butts for a living in half as much time. So I made twice as much in half as much time. I was sold, y'all, and I still am to this day, man. So that's basically my brief little story of how I closed my very first wholesale real estate deal. So just so y'all know, man, it's very, very possible for y'all to get out here, get y'all some deals. You may have to experience some adversity. I had to pay people back that I had to borrow money from and stuff like that or whatever, but we ended up getting it done. We didn't end up being homeless or any of that stuff. The wholesaling is really what kind of changed my life, y'all. And I just never looked back. I was like, look, this is for me. This is going to be a business. I wasn't ultra consistent right at the beginning. It wasn't until I got my second mentor that really showed me how to turn this thing into a business, how to be consistent, how to not just get one-off deals every now and then, but how to actually turn this thing into a business and do deals nationwide. Fuck that, guys. So that being said, I am taking on new coaching clients at the moment. I'm personally coaching. So if you all are interested in getting one-on-one coaching from your boy, definitely click that link down below to schedule an introductory call with me so we can chat, see if we're a good fit for each other, and get out here and start getting you some deals as well, man. So I hope that y'all staying healthy and staying blessed, man. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Tell me what y'all think about it down below. Like, drop me a comment. Let me know about your first wholesale wholesale deal? Have you closed your first deal yet? Are you on the grind out here? If so, drop a comment down below. Let me know where y'all at, man. I'm really, really curious to hear. All right, though, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. I hope that you all are staying healthy and staying blessed out there. And as always, guys, until next time, we are out.